Caviar is literally the healthiest food on the planet. Are rich people onto something? Well, some of you may be more familiar with Ikura, Tobiko, Masago, Batarga. I usually refer to it as either fish eggs or fish roe. And caviar is technically only from wild-caught beluga sturgeon in the Caspian Sea, but most people refer to caviar as any salted fish egg that's separated from the membrane or the skeins. And the reason this food is literally the healthiest food on the planet is because of its complete nutritional profile in regards to fat-soluble vitamins, water-soluble vitamins, minerals, elements, DHA, fatty acid profile. Anything you want, this food has it in its most bioavailable form. It has vitamin A in the form of retinol, D in the form of D3, K in the form of K2, all the water-soluble vitamins, all the minerals, all the electrolytes, calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. It has iodine. And not only that does it have a complete nutritional profile, it has the highest amount of DHA out of any food, and it's multiple times higher than the next best food. It's like 3 times higher than brain tissue. So not only does it have a complete nutritional profile, it has the highest amount of DHA and vitamin D3 out of any food by a huge margin. You know, in indigenous groups, like Native Americans used to feed the roe, the fish eggs, to the young couples trying to conceive, the nursing woman for the health of the child. There's plenty of examples of using nutrient-dense foods in those applications. And also just in nature, like when a bear is fat and they feed on Alaskan salmon, they only eat the eggs. They'll kill the fish, they'll see if it has eggs, and they'll leave the rest for the wolves or whatever scavenger animals. There's a lot of examples in nature in that, and not only that, in how palatable this food is, how good it tastes in its raw, unaltered state. And before we go into taste, there's a couple ways you could buy this. You could get the caviar form, which is salted and separated from the membrane, and that's what I recommend. Although some of you guys don't want salt in your diet, it's the safest, it's the cleanest, it's packaged nicely, it's usually pretty available in local ethnic markets and online. The next way to get it would be, you know, you go to the fish market and by chance you fillet a fish open and there's eggs in it, which isn't really practical if you want to eat fish eggs. You're kind of rolling the dice. And then the third way is to buy it frozen, vacuum sealed in the skeins and the membrane. And the reason I don't recommend that is I have plenty of videos on parasites in fish and everything, but there are roundworms and nematodes in larger fish. And if you buy salmon, for example, like I've recommended this to people in the past, and they told me they bought it and it was like intertwined with worms. And although these nematodes and roundworms are not harmful, dead or alive, they can't penetrate the intestinal wall. They might cause a little bit of discomfort. Although they're not harmful to the human digestive system, no one wants to eat dead worms. So that's why I wouldn't buy the latter, although that's what I buy. And I buy it from Alaska. I've maybe come across a worm in every like 5 to 10 skeins, depending. And in Alaska specifically, they'd never had roundworms or nematodes in it before 2017. So in Alaska, the source of salmon is relatively clean still. So that might be a good option, but that's not really a concern in the two former ways to buy it, in smaller fish. And you know, if you want to separate it and go through it yourself, like I would show you guys that, but I didn't find any worms when I went through it. And the other problem with buying it frozen is the eggs burst when you try to separate them. So you can't make caviar from frozen eggs because freezing it compromises the integrity of the cell wall and they just burst. That's why you guys can see here I have salmon roast soup as opposed to, you know, some caviar. So I'll tell you guys where to get it at the end of the video. So to go over the taste of this, generally speaking, it has the flavor of the fish. So for this, it would be salmon. And it has this rich cholesterol-y flavor that we associated with egg yolks, with brain tissue. In combination with those two flavors, it has like a sweet nuttiness depending on how big the eggs are. The larger eggs taste sweeter and nuttier. That's why larger caviar are more expensive. And sometimes it has this like iodine-y taste that almost like burns the back of your throat. And it's seasoned. It has a pretty high salt content. So in regards to natural palatability, this food has multiple components that make it taste good. It hits multiple senses on your palate. You know, there's really no foods you can compare it to in nature that taste as good in its raw, unaltered form. It's so interesting. Not only does it taste so good in its natural state, it's super satiating. you can only really eat a few bites of this and then your body tells you, okay, stop, that's enough. That's how nutrient dense this food is. You know, you could literally only eat this food, and if you only ate grain-fed beef instead, you'd still be getting all your vitamins, minerals, and everything from this food. You could, like, it doesn't matter what else you eat as long as you have some of this. I guess to touch on finally where to get this, I will not recommend, as I said, I will not recommend any frozen suppliers. I've had problems with that in the past, recommending that to people. Caviar, the salted version, local ethnic markets, local fish markets. In regards to, like, you could gamble your luck and try to fillet some fish open and hope you get it, but I wouldn't do that. The best bet is to actually go to like a local Asian market or any fish market really, and especially the Asian markets that sell, like, they sell tobiko, they sell sweet fish roe. The way they get that roe is they actually get it shipped in bags and it's salted already. And what they do is they add soy sauce, sugar to it, mirin, all that stuff to it in the store. So if you go to them and say, hey, do you guys get this roe in? Can you sell it to me before you add that stuff to it and package it? That's what I used to do at H Mart. I used to go get the roe that just had maybe just salt in it and possibly citric acid in it, and that's how I would get it. So thank you guys. If you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. I really can't speak too much about this food. Like, it being literally the healthiest food there is. If you eat this food and you don't feel like you could, you know, run a marathon right after, then eat more of it, because that's how I feel when I eat this food and other nutrient-dense foods like this. So, thank you guys for watching. Any other questions, anything you feel like I missed, anything else in relation to this, feel free to let me know. If you like guys go through my video history, you might see a couple videos slightly related to this. I don't remember which ones I re-uploaded, but you should be able to find something there.